Welcome to Mark D. Maker. My name's Mark Taylor, and today we're going to be carving this little tufted titmouse. His head is turned, was cut off and glued on. Now, if you want to see how this is done, watch the previous video where I did this. And today we're going to be carving it. Now, I have the lines on here according to the book, and the book that I'm using is Songbird Carving by Rosalind Leach Daisy. And I'm following these step by step. And so, the book is instructing me to draw in these lines the way that they are drawn in here, and to aid me in making sure I get this right, because I have not started rounding this yet and it's still square. When I print out copies, I print out multiple copies of each page because I chop them up and do this to them. That gives me placement for that wing. Now, I could measure that, but measuring gives you the opportunity to mess up the numbers. And I like to mess up numbers. So, this actually gives you, now you have to remember, this doesn't account for dips or angles, so you need to kind of look down through this pattern and draw. And what I will do is extend my lead way out, and I will hold up like the wing like that, and then trace the line in, letting there be space here. You know, I'm not holding it down. And that kind of lets you draw down through the pattern and give you an accurate mark. Now, the book shows, and this is the only part that I had a hard time understanding what the book was trying to tell me, and I finally figured it out. This little triangle here, and here, here, and here all get removed. All of that. It gives these lines, and I actually did that again right here. You see how that's, I cut that, and I cut this to get the placement right here. And you can use calipers or a ruler. I just used to do it this way. To me, it's a lot quicker. I'm taking it right off the original pattern. Have my center line. I'll keep that center line during the whole carving. And we'll start by removing these edges to make it just a little more easy to hold in the hand. And we'll come in and define and remove the wood below the wing before we start to carve to the round. We'll arch the tail as well, a little curvature in the tail. So you can see this, you'll probably see this in the background from time to time. I'm actually watching a YouTube channel. She does live streams called Learn Sculpture. And she's got a website, learnsculpture.com. That's where I downloaded the pattern for this. And I'm working in clay. This is Chavant Hard. it is a great way to learn more about sculpture. I mean, face it, folks, this is sculpture, just not wood carving. There is sculpture. It is sculpture. And learning sculpture from different mediums will help you. So if you give it a chance, give it a try, check out Learn Sculpture on YouTube and give clay a try. All right, here I'm just comparing carving that I did, tufted tip mouse with the head forward, using the same pattern, and of course the one we're doing now with a turned head, and comparing them. It is somewhat helpful. I started the one with the head forward, and for some reason I just never finished it. But it would be a nice carving to incorporate both of these together in a finished product down the road. Would certainly add a lot to it. You can see I'm just taking my time, continue to work with the grain. You can hear it gets stubborn right where that line is, where the cut head intersects with the body. Is a little tricky because the grain changes there. So to get a smooth transition is a little bit tricky, but if you have an issue with it, keep some sandpaper handy. Having a curved surface like a dowel or something like that to wrap the sandpaper around helps maintain the curvature that's there. Or a Dremel tool with one of those sanding drums on it. That'll make quick work of it. So we're running this video at twice the speed of normal life. And we're just moving right along, taking off the sharp edges. As you noticed, I haven't touched the line going down the middle of the back. I like to leave that line visible throughout the whole carving. If it does, if you end up removing it, which eventually we'll have to get rid of those saw marks, draw it in right away. It's very helpful to maintain that center line all the way around the bird, or any carving really. Anything that has symmetry from the left to right, having that center line will always help you keep that balance, keep that symmetry. I think I'm working on the crown and the top of the head. Constantly spinning it, turning it, and looking at it is very important. Here's the pattern for the head. Just line it across the top of the head, giving the shape of the top of the head in. Now, from the top of the head does widen out at an angle, so you want to be careful not to cut the whole way down the side of the head with this shape, because it is narrow, and the crown is more narrow than the cheeks. The cheeks do spread out wider. The ear coverts are the whitest part of the bird's head. So you want to make sure that this angle that I'm using here, you want to make sure to maintain that angle. At this point, I decided to go ahead and take it to the Dremel tool with the sanding drum on it and smooth it out. And here I will remove the center lines off the back and the chest, and you can see right here. And that just helps to kind of unify everything, smooth it out. And I'll draw those lines back in pronto. Now here's a trick I learned. Using your fingers to help with symmetry, because you can't always trust your eyes. Lighting is critical, and if you don't have good lighting, you can rely on your touch. By feeling both sides of the symmetry, you can get a very accurate feel and knowledge of the symmetry of the item that you're working with. Your touch is a much better tool to rely on than your eyes. Here is the joint between the head and the body, and you can see it is slightly visible, and there's ways to deal with that if it is an issue. We'll see how this progresses and if it becomes an issue. So here I'm just rounding the edges on the crest. Making the transition from the top of the head to the face in a smooth, rounded area. All right, so what we got going here, we're starting to get that shape of the face and the crest in here. And what I'm looking at is how the angle of this right here on either side of the face when you're looking head on. So I'm trying to get that angle right. Keeping those, you can see how the cheeks here are very broad, broader than the crown. You can see the cheeks here as well, broader than the crown. So I'm trying to keep that in check. That the crest here, I keep checking it against the one here to see how we're doing. We're doing pretty good. So we're progressing. All right, so I did a little bit more work on the beak. See, I'm following the lines that I drew in. And I just roughly sketched out the eyes. That's not exactly where the eyes is going to be, but it just is giving me like a rough idea. More concerned with the beak right now. So you can see how I've drawn the center lines, have this X in the middle. The center of that X is where the tip of the beak is going to be. Have the cheeks cut in here. And we'll continue to work on it. All right, so you can see that looks a little better with the eyes and the placement of the eyes. And what I did is worked on the shape of the head here and measuring from the tip of the bird's beak to the center of the eye. Now the beak is an excellent reference because the beak is part of the skull of the bird, and that will be consistent. You'll have other things change, like the crest could be different lengths. That's feathers. This could change slightly the back of the bird. Anything with feathers can be altered or changed, or feathers yanked. But the beak, being part of the skull, will always give you a consistent measurement. So from the tip of the beak to the center of the eye, and that's what we're looking at there. Please like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.